Police Minister Bheki Cele says they're following up on some leads in the killing of Glenn and Vida Rafferty at their Normandie farm, just outside Newcastle in the north of KwaZulu Natal. Cele was addressing a meeting with community policing and farming structures in that area. The elderly couple was shot dead by unknown suspects as they were entering their home. Cele says he is optimistic that police will make a breakthrough. Let's chat a bit more about this now. AgriSA Director for Rural Safety, Kobus Visser, joins me now live via the telephone. A very good evening to you, Mr. Visser. Thanks indeed for your time. So in an earlier conversation I had with you, you'd indicated that in the previous financial year, there were 49 murders in 46 incidents. Are we seeing an increase in farm attacks?
Well, I must say it's 49 murders too many, and these murders have deprived the country of strategic skills in the agriculture sector. And when looking at a survey done in 2018 by the Institute of Security Studies, they found that farm attacks and farm murders have increased in line with the general upward trend in South Africa's serious crimes and especially violent crimes. We also saw in June an increase in farm attacks during that period just after the lockdown. So we are concerned about the number of farm attacks and the effect it has on the farming community.
Are we able to say what the motive for these killings is?
Well, again, if you look at research that has been done, and I can refer you to the research done in 2002, which is the most recent research done by the late Minister Steve Tshwete. The investigation found that robbery was the most prevalent motive for farm attacks. But one must also say that the brutality and the violence which accompanies these attacks places a question mark behind these motives. In that study also, the state prosecutors who were involved in prosecuting some of the farm attacks and murder cases, they found that in those cases, about 6% were hate-related cases.
One of the things you're concerned about is the rural safety strategy, which you say is AgriSA is inadequate. Tell us a bit about what you think could be better done with that strategy.
Well, at the end of July, we had a very positive meeting with police discussing the strategy. And two issues came out in that discussion. And one was to look at the resources required to implement the strategy to its fullest. That means human resources and vehicles and equipment, for example. So the police are looking at this stage at what the resource requirements are needed to implement the strategy to its fullest. But another leg of the strategy is the rural reservist, or is it the reservist policy, which is the backbone of the strategy. If you don't have efficient and adequate reservists, you can't implement the strategy to its fullest. So we also decided to establish a task team. The police are now busy looking at what is required to establish a, let's call it an agricultural friendly reservist system. And as soon as they've done their investigation, we will form a task team to have further discussions and see what is needed to implement such a policy or strategy.
AgriSA Director for Rural Safety, Kobus Visser, thank you very much indeed for your time.